What's going on? Are you ready for health? Well, I am. So turn to page 99. We're going to start with 99 and go over the comprehension check you did yesterday. See, I do remember sometimes. Got to give me a little credit. Most of the time they don't, but I do. Once in a while remember. So page 99. Number 1, when you are practicing safety habits, you are protecting blank and blank. Did you get that? Yourself and others around you. Remember, safety isn't just for you. It's for you and other people that could be in harm's way around you. So it's very important that you are being safe. And what is the key to safety? Number 2, being aware. When we are aware of things that are going on around us, then we can be safe. And that's a very helpful thing. What is the emergency number to call for help? We all know that. 911, excellent. And then what should you do, always do when you leave the car? Now, I think when you get in the car too, when I get in the car right away, I do this, and when I leave the car. Lock your car doors, lock the doors. That way you're safe. That's why I say when you get into, you just lock the door, and that way you know you're safe. When you leave the car, lock the doors. That way you know your car is safe, and you're safe when you head back to your car. After wherever you happen to be. So those are some important things. And remember all of the reminders that it talked about that you learned in the beginning of that section. Reminders to stay in well-lit areas, to not be alone, to always be aware, to call 911, look for an adult, all of that. So think those things through carefully. This isn't just, oh, this is important for a test or a quiz. No, this is life skills. Guys, this is stuff that you will need to carry through your life to remind yourself, these are ways that I can be safe. And especially as a child, these are ways that you can be safe. So we've been talking about public safety. We talked about parking lot safety and, when you're in a park or, a public place, an area, looking for, just the safe places, not to be, crazy or weird, but just to be aware. And that's important. So today we're going to talk about street safety. Before we do, let's look at our terms to remember. The first term, pedestrian. Say it. Pedestrian. Yeah. And some of you probably know, but some of you are like, well, it sounds like a weird dinosaur or something. What is a pedestrian? You are. I am. If I'm walking on the sidewalk or the street. Okay. If you're walking along the sidewalk, or if you happen to be walking along the street, you are called a pedestrian. So a pedestrian is a person walking on a sidewalk or along a street. And then dusk. Dusk is when the sun is going down and is just beginning to get dark, okay? And it's important to know this for a specific reason we'll get to in a little bit when we get to the next couple pages. And you'll see why it's such an important word to know and be aware of. So let's look at street safety. Do you like to go for walks? Well, when we're in a national pandemic and we can't go anywhere else, yes, we love going for walks, don't we? Something to get out of the house. Whenever you are walking on a sidewalk or along a street, you are called a pedestrian. Yes, a pedestrian should walk on the street only if there is no sidewalk. So if there's a sidewalk, you are always on the sidewalk. Do not walk on the street. It is not safe. The safest place to be is on the sidewalk, which is why they were made, so people could walk on them. So walk on the sidewalk. If there is no sidewalk, that's the only time that you should be walking on a street. But even that comes with rules. There are certain ways and things that you need to do to walk along the street. If you must, because there's no sidewalk, walk on the street, then walk on the left side of the street toward traffic so that you can see the cars that are coming and keep out of their way. That is so important, because if you're walking on the left side, you can watch. And you can watch and you can see what's going on. And when that person goes down to, oh, that penny that I dropped, and they're not paying attention and they're coming at you, you can hop up on the hood, roll over the top, and then jump down off the back. Whew, I'm good. No, not. Probably wouldn't happen that way. You can just jump out of the way of that car. But hopefully that won't even be a thing, because they're going to think, I'm reaching down to get a penny while I'm driving. That's not smart. Let me get my eyes back on the road, okay? But if you're walking on the right side of the road, what's happening? The cars are coming this way behind you, and it's like, ooh, how close are they getting? Are they getting too close to me? I can't really tell. And it's not safe to be walking, looking back when you're supposed to be walking forward. So the best thing, or the only thing that you should do, is walk on the left side toward the traffic. That way you can always see the cars coming toward you and get out of their way if you need to. You should never take a walk alone, though. If you walk to school, or go to a friend's house, you should always walk with other people and use the safest way to and from school. Don't take shortcuts. Don't go through people's yards or through the little woodsy path or whatever. Not safe. Don't do that. You should always walk on the sidewalk if there is one, period. Always. You should also avoid walking across empty lots where there might be rusty nails or broken glass. So again, you have to be very careful where you're walking. That rusty nail easily will go through a shoe, okay? Easily get into your foot, and then what pain and problems there could be, okay? Same thing with that broken glass. If it's big enough or sharp enough, it can cause problems. Remember that it is never safe to accept a ride from a stranger. If a stranger approaches you, yell for help and run in the opposite direction. Yeah, but they didn't try to grab me. They just asked me to look at this picture, and doesn't matter. If they're trying to, if any stranger that you don't know is trying to get, oh, hey, could you look at this picture and see if you've seen my dog or seen my son or my nephew? I can't seem to find him. Oh, hey, could you come here? Do you want some candy? I have some candy. Oh, you know what? Your mom asked me to pick you up. You don't know me, but I work with your mom and they might even name where she works. Don't for 1 second, if you don't recognize that person and your mom hasn't said anything about sending anybody to pick you up, you don't ever get into a car with a stranger. Even if they say, all they're saying is, hey, I just wanted to help. He's trying to take me. But he wasn't trying to take me. You don't know that though. So you yell for your life and just run in the opposite direction. And stay in well-lit areas, open public places. Don't run off into the woods and try to hide or anything like that. Stay on a main road where people are and people can see you and people can help, because somebody will recognize that and that will scare the person away. So you just need to be aware and be careful. So look at the bottom, street safety. This one I like because it's really going to make you think. Most of you probably figured it out already. But it says, which side of the road should you walk on? Well, we've talked about that. And then circle the child who is walking on the correct side of the road. The child. So only one of them is walking on the correct side of the road. But there's only, and then one? Yeah, only one is walking on the correct side of the road. Okay, well, Miss Monroe just told us walk on the left side of the street so you can see oncoming cars. This guy is on the right side because he's raising his right hand, and then the cars are coming this way, but both of these guys are on the left side. So they're both right. How is one of them wrong? Oh, this makes a difference, because if he's waving this hand, what side is he really on for him? He's on the right side still, and the cars are still coming this way. She, the girl, is on the left side. This is her left hand on the left side, and she can see the cars that are coming her way. You get that? You see that? So you circle the little girl. That's important. And do you remember why you should walk on that side? Like we said, so you can see the cars. Walk light and don't walk light. Cross a busy street at an intersection or a crosswalk. Should not just cross the street anywhere. Intersection or crosswalk. Do not enter a street between parked cars. That's very, very dangerous. It's unsafe because the drivers of approaching cars cannot see you. So there's car parked here and a car parked here, and you walk out into the road. This car that was coming can't see you, and you could be seriously hurt. I did have a little girl in my class one year who was with her brothers, and they went to the store and they were walking back home, and she stepped from between parked cars. Her brothers had gotten across safely and were waiting for her to come across the road, I think. I can't remember exactly how it happened. And a car came and she got hit. Now, she was okay. She wasn't okay. She did break her clavicle. What's another word for clavicle? Your collarbone, her collarbone, and her pelvis. And had to go through a long time of recovery, waiting for those bones to heal and being able to try to walk. But it was a very painful recovery, and she learned a hard lesson. Don't walk between parked cars. It is very unsafe. And that's why even at school, when you've got the lineup of the cars by the sidewalk, we as teachers are like, wait for us to help you go across so that we can watch to make sure you get across safely. It's very important. If there is a traffic light, wait until the light turns green or reads walk. Okay, that walk light comes on. If there is no traffic light, then look in all directions, not even just both ways, okay? Because there could be cars coming from this direction, there could be cars coming from this. You look in all directions before you leave the sidewalk and cross only when it is safe. Sometimes we just are told, oh, look in both directions. Well, what if it's a four-way crossing, and you're crossing and this car doesn't have to stop and they come, or there's cars and they have a light that says they can turn this way and you're going across and here they come right at you. So it's not just both ways, it's in all directions. So be aware of that. Most common causes of pedestrian accidents: crossing an intersection when the light is red. Oh, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead across because, I don't see any cars, and all of a sudden this car comes barreling down that you weren't expecting. Cross only when the light is green. Crossing a street where there's no intersection. And, I'm just going to cross here. It's just easier. And again, that could be a problem. You could get hurt. And then entering the street from between parked cars. Don't do it. Go to where there's an open spot and there's not a bunch of parked cars or whatever to make sure that you are safe. So look at your street safety at the bottom. How could you prevent the most common pedestrian accidents? And write those down. We talked about those different ways that you can, that are the most common. How can you prevent that? Page 102, do you ride a bus to school? If you get off the school bus and need to cross the street, you should cross in front of the bus. The traffic is stopped for the bus and the bus driver can see that you get across the street safely. Whenever you get into or out of a car that is parked along the side of a street, you should get into or out of the side of the car that is closest to the curb. You don't want to be opening the door on the side closest to the street because you could cause an accident or you could be seriously hurt. Because cars are coming down and all of a sudden you open that door and they're like, whoa, I didn't know somebody was getting out of the car right there. And that means that car has to veer over into the other lane, or you could end up getting hurt. So that's a very dangerous thing. Now I know the time is going, but I have to tell this because I tell it every year and I just love it. There was a commercial years ago that I absolutely loved, and it was a young boy who was a teenager who was just trying to get his license. And it was a commercial for car insurance or something. I can't even remember. But he was trying to get his license, and it's already nerve-wracking enough. And he's sitting in the car, and he's got the instructor, checking to see if he does everything correctly. Because if he gets check marks, that means he gets his license, and he can finally drive by himself and all of that. So the instructor's watching, and he's, checking the mirrors, and then he's putting his seatbelt on, and he's moving and adjusting his seat, and he's doing everything just right. He puts his blinker on, gets into traffic, and goes and does everything the way he's supposed to. And it just shows the instructor just checking off, and, things are looking good. And then he gets back in front of the driving school before he has to go in and maybe get his license. And he pulls into the parking spot just so, and it's on the side of the road, so that was even an important thing. And he got his last check, and he's like, yes, this is awesome. He undoes his seatbelt, opens the car door, and all of a sudden you hear, brah, brah, and a truck. It was just a commercial, so they planned it so everybody would stay safe. But a truck came by, knocks the door off the car, and the instructor looks at him Like, nope, you're not getting your license today, dude. You just broke our car. So that is what I always think of when I think of opening the door on the wrong side. When you open it on the side of the street, you could lose a door. You could lose more than that if you're not careful in a serious manner. But that's just kind of a funny reminder. You don't want that door to go flying off your car. Get out on the side closest to the curb so that you're not opening your door into oncoming traffic. That's very dangerous. At dusk, and this is what we were talking about earlier, why that word dusk. When the sun is going down and it is just starting to get dark, the shadows make it very difficult for drivers to see pedestrians. For this reason, you should try to be home before dusk. And that's what many times, if you are out playing with your friends, your parents say, be home before it starts to get dark, because they know what it's like to be a driver. And I've gone down streets, quieter streets, and all of a sudden there's a kid just out, and it was hard to see because the lights and the shadows play, games with your eyes as things start to get darker. That never walk alone at night, ever. Whenever you must be out at dusk with your family or after dark, then you will need to be even more watchful and careful, because drivers can't see you, but you can see them. You should also wear light colored clothing or carry a light with you so that car drivers can see you. Like I said, I've driven up and all of a sudden I didn't see the person because it's getting dark. And all of a sudden there's this person with dark clothes on, dark pants and dark sweatshirt or whatever. And I'm, oh my goodness, I didn't even notice they were there. Thank goodness I'm driving so carefully or whatever. But I could have easily just swayed over and hit them and never even known it because I didn't see them. So wear light colored clothing or carry a light. And then just, I've seen people walk and they have the light and it's moving. So somebody goes, oh, there's something there. So let me be aware of that. That's very, very important. Traffic signs. Do you know what each of these signs means? And so we already saw our walk and don't walk signs. Then you've got your stop sign, your school sign, and your railroad warning sign, your railroad sign. Hopefully you do know most of those. Railroad crossing is a round sign that warns you that a railroad crossing is ahead. So that's just the round warning sign that tells you that little white X is going to be ahead. The railroad crossing sign reminds you to watch for a train before you cross the tracks. Then you have your stop sign. A stop sign is an octagon. It has 8 sides. At a stop sign, you should stop and look for cars before you cross the street. Now, again, I have to share something just really cute. My dad used to always say, what are you stopping for? What are you stopping for? And I said, well, Pappy, it says stop. No, that says skid tires on pavement. S-T-O-P, skid tires on pavement. He was a little bit of a weird jokester, so he thought that was funny. And it was funny the first 5 times. And then after 15 to 20, 35 times, it got a little old, but I loved it because it was my pappy. So skid tires on pavement, but it's not what it means. It means stop. Stop and look before you cross. A warning sign. Anytime you see a diamond-shaped sign, it is a warning sign of something ahead. It warns drivers to slow down because of danger ahead. Sometimes it's because there might be deer that often go across the road and you don't want to hit the deer. Maybe it's a sign that warns that there's rocks that might be falling in a certain area because it's a weird mountainous area. Other times, like the one on the book, it's showing that the road gets slippery when it's wet. So look for those. And then the school sign. What is that? What shape? Good. It is a pentagon because it has 5 sides. Very good. A school sign lets drivers know they are close to a school. It reminds them to drive slowly and to watch out for children who might be crossing the street. This helps you to be safe if you walk, ride in a car, or ride on a bus to school. There are signs on both sides of our school that show this. And people that are driving by know that they need to drive slower because this is a school zone and kids might be coming, or there might be cars slowing down, or there might be cars coming out of the driveway, or there might be a bus that's coming. So those are important signs. And then we're going to talk just a little bit about personal safety. And this is important, third grade. And it's just something that you need to be aware of. God has given you a wonderful body, but some parts of your body are private. These private parts of your body are the parts that are covered by your swimsuit. That's the easiest way to know what we're talking about. They're all the private parts of your body, they're covered by your swimsuit. So if anyone tries to touch you in these areas, no matter who that person is or what they say to you, yell for help and run away. Doesn't matter if it's a friend, family member, if it's somebody who is touching you in a place that is covered by your swimsuit normally, and they're telling you, don't say anything, I'll hurt you or your family if you do, you just let me do this. No, you yell and run away. Tell your parent or a trusted adult immediately. Don't keep it to yourself. Don't hide it and not tell anybody. That's one of the worst things that you can do, and it's so not safe. So you let somebody know if you are concerned about something like that. That's very important. All right, comprehension check at the bottom of page 103. Work on that carefully. Hopefully, if I remember, we'll do that together tomorrow. But write those answers in the blank and read that through carefully. More about your public safety and personal safety. And tomorrow we're going to start talking about recreational safety. Recreation is the fun that we have in playing sports and different things like that. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. All right, great job, guys. See you soon.